If the job you're about to do involves working at height or at a location where there is a potential of tools or equipment dropping to a lower level, causing serious harm, for example, working in towers, temporary scaffold platforms, walkways, etc., then drops prevention always starts before you begin the job and should be part of the planning phase. Take the time to think about your work area and the size of the drop zone and the correct, effective positioning of barriers to keep everyone clear. Think about the tools and equipment you'll use. Check they are in good condition and only take tools with you that you'll need to complete the task. It's a good idea to take note of the number of tools you take up with you. Make sure they're attached securely to your tool belt or bag, using the correct lanyards or securing devices. Think about how you can prevent objects from falling. Check your pockets for any loose items. Sources of dropped objects include small tools, nuts, bolts, nails, screws, washers and Allen keys. Even pens and pencils can be potential dropped objects. Check for any gaps that equipment, tools or small items could fall through. Make sure tow or kickboards are in place on your scaffold and netting is placed around the runners. If you are working over grating, think about using a mat, board or tarpaulin to make sure the grating is covered. Do you have the right fall protection equipment available to use? Remember, you need to prevent yourself from being a dropped object too. Before starting the task, always check ropes, lanyards or other securing devices. Are they twisted or frayed? Could they snap or work loose? Take a minute to check them. Have you done everything you can to make sure there are no opportunities for objects to drop? If so, you're ready to begin your work, but remember, always stay alert. Conditions can change suddenly when you're at sea, with sudden vessel movements which can displace tools or equipment lying on deck, or when you're on shore, wet weather or strong winds can mean that something may become a risk that wasn't before. When you reach the worksite, you should always check any fixed equipment or plant. Bolts or other fixings or fastenings may have been secure the last time you worked there, but remember, things can change. Look for any bolts, end caps, redundant materials or tools that may have been left by a previous work party or that could have come loose with vibration or weathered with rust. Always use the right tool for the job, even if it means you have to stop the job and go down again to collect it. If you do have to leave the worksite at any point, first, make sure you check you have secured any bolts, fastening or fittings properly and not left any loose replacement parts behind. On completion of your task and before leaving, check that all the tools that were taken up are secure in your work belt or bag. How many tools did you take up with you? Make sure you have them all before you climb down. Always take care on your descent or ascent. Watch out for handrails, brackets or fittings that could snag your tool belt or bag. If you become caught and feel resistance, always stop and check what the problem is and free yourself carefully. Never use force to free yourself. You may not be working at height, but when there is work above or below you, make sure you do not cross any barriers or enter into any barriered zone. Never put yourself in the line of fire. If you ever see anyone in the drop zone, speak up. It could help prevent an incident. Let's look at a working at height scenario. During maintenance operations, a light fixture became dislodged from its anchor point, possibly due to vibration. It didn't fall as the cable was still attached, but it hadn't been checked to make sure that it was secure before the work in the surrounding area was carried out. Nobody was hurt on that occasion, but if it had fallen, there could have been serious consequences. After this incident, it was also identified that the drop zone was not wide enough for the work at height being undertaken. This means that anyone standing behind the barrier may have had a false sense of security and could realistically been hit. As part of your stop, look and think habit, you should always look at ground level too. Is the drop zone wide enough for any dropped object? Could the object be deflected as it falls? Could it bounce? If in doubt, always extend the drop zone. It's better to over than underestimate the extent of the drop zone. Are there sufficient signs and barriers in place? If it's possible, conduct any working at height activities at low activity times when there are less people around. Vigilance is key. Stop, look, and think of ways to prevent objects dropping before starting work. Always secure tools and equipment when working at height, using approved, fit-for-purpose securing devices. Check fixed plant or equipment for anything loose, damaged or rusty. Check the security of all loads and the lifting equipment before the lift. Never place yourself within a drop zone or enter a barriered area. Remain vigilant throughout work at height or when lifting, loading or unloading. If you see a loose object anywhere, pick it up and secure it, then report it. Stop the job if something is not safe. Communication with other work parties and contractors is key.